Hello, my wonderful, amazing artists. It's me, Miss Abby, your art teacher, and today I was thinking back to when we were making art in the Lee Academy cafeteria and how we would sprinkle salt on top of our watercolor paintings. And I'm wondering if you can do the same thing with our watercolor pencils we have in our art kit. Because they do have this paintbrush, and if you brush a little bit of water using a wet paintbrush, you can blend them and smooth them out. So I'm going to see if we can sprinkle salt on top and see how it goes. And I'm going to take you guys with me. We're going to experiment with our materials together. And you can watch and see what happens when salt, which we know absorbs water and attracts water, connects with our watercolor pencils. Let's give it a go. Okay, so I'm gonna make an under the sea landscape using some oil pastels, because we know oil pastels and water don't mix together, so these lines and designs I make will still shine through, and I think that's really cool, because in addition to this being an experiment, I want to make a cool artwork today. So I'm going to draw another kind of underwater coral reef looking thing. Kind of like the kind of thing you'd see in a wildcat show. I did some doodles with my oil pastels, and I'm thinking that these will still shine through even when I brush over my colorful with my watercolor pencils. So I grabbed them and I double checked to make sure all of them are actually watercolor pencils by looking for W watercolor and that paintbrush to make sure they're watercolors. And then I also grabbed my paintbrush, nice and clean and well taken care of. I grabbed a cup of plain old water, and it's only really halfway full, and a paper towel to keep my area nice and neat, and also a little salt that I'm going to sprinkle in my hand and sprinkle on top at the end. First, I'm going to draw out my watercolor pencil lines. Then I'm going to brush over with some nice clean water on a wet paintbrush. Let's do it. Ta-da! Here's my wet, shiny painting. It's so wet and shiny it's dripping because you really shouldn't be holding it up. Now I'm going to take some salt from just plain old kitchen salt and sprinkle it on top. Now when you're doing this, don't lick your fingers. It doesn't taste very good, and your fingers are probably coated with paint. But we'll sprinkle it on, and we're going to watch it transform. Salt attracts water just like how when we eat a lot of salty foods like potato chips and pretzels, we get thirsty, right? Same with the painting. The water is going to be attracted to it, and we're going to leave it there to dry until it's not wet and shiny anymore, and then scrub the salt off. So we're going to put it down, and we're not going to rub it all over the place, because that doesn't let the salt do its job. You got to leave it. Kind of like if you were to put salt on a snowy, icy sidewalk. So we're going to leave it there. We're going to let the salt work its magic, and then we're going to check back in later. Ta-da! Here is the watercolor, and look up close. The salt did leave behind a little bit of interesting texture. You can rub it off. See, you can rub it off, and it still looks like it's there. Still got some interesting texture, and we'll inspect this a little more in the future. But if you want to give it a try adding some watercolor and some salt together and see what it looks like when it's dry, because it looks pretty awesome, and it's a little bit of a scientific connection too. And I think that's kind of appropriate, because salt water, because the ocean is full of salt water, right? Bye. Have fun making art. Oh, good.